got literally, I haven't even, I shouldn't even really be getting water. I'm on an Apollo launch type of schedule. Right. Oh. You alright, Eddie? How you doing? You alright? Wait, is Ernie racing tonight? Wait, Ernie, how come you're not racing? I just realised you're not even on the list. Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Yeah, not too bad. Ah, fair play. Good to see. Welcome back, everybody, to the Purple Sector Formula 1 League, as we are back here tonight for the second round of Season 15 here for this slightly shorter season here for the Purple Sector Formula 1 League races. A bit more of a gap between the races this season compared to what we've had in previous seasons, but still some exciting action and a bit more preparation for drivers in between races as well, which I'm sure is going to only improve the standard of racing, which is already a very, very high level here at the Purple Sector Formula 1 League, as we can see the drivers just coming out onto the track to do their first flying laps of its qualifying session here. So quick rundown, quick recap of what we saw last week. So obviously in terms of the race results, we saw for the opening round of the season, it was Scott who ended up taking the win, Scott Leslie in the McLaren. Rolling back the seasons here, I have to say, with last week's performance. Whether or not he'll be able to consistently replicate it over the course of the season remains to be seen, but started from P6 on the grid, ended up winning the race. You've got to say that is a absolutely fantastic job there from him. But Justify, the runner-up from 2 seasons ago in the championship, finishing in second place, having got pole as well, so I'm sure he'd be a bit disappointed with that, but then again, it was a very solid return to Purple Sector, and obviously getting pole in a discipline which he's got form. We know that Justify is incredibly quick over a lap, so that was no surprise, but show it in the race as well, he's still got the pace, would have been very reassuring indeed. Matty Pitt was the last driver on the podium in third place last week, having started on the front row alongside Justify, so Scott really did upstage those two front row sitters last week, and I'm sure we'll be looking to do the same this week as well, or maybe from a higher grid position, because he would, I'm sure, love to make it a little bit easier for himself than what he did last time out, Scott. But nonetheless, fourth place was Drauger. Drauger is there he is, Drauger in the other McLaren, obviously teammate of last week's race winner, and Rexy Boy came home in P5. Rexy Boy doesn't... Oh, he's just there, yep. So Rexy Boy was 5th last week. Then we had Truckee in 6th. And Truckee I don't think is here this week. G.C. brought it home in 7th place last week. White Shadow Hole was 8th. And then Street Boy was next in 9th place. Followed by John, who finished in P10, completing the points paying positions. Smart Pleasure, it was 11th, and Clen 12th. I think Clen didn't make it to the flag. I think Smart Pleasure might not have either, actually. So those two also not here this week, so will not be getting off the mark for their points paying campaigns tonight, that's for sure. So those two are definitely going to be very much on the back foot, and that's going to not bode well for Clen, obviously, because he's a 2-time champion of this Purple Sector Formula 1 League, and is also was last season's runner-up as well. So when you factor that in, it's not to his usual standards, but nonetheless, still plenty of races to go in this season. Obviously, not as many as usual, but still plenty of opportunities left to try and bridge that gap. C. Faulkner, the reserve for tonight, coming over the line and does a 28.7 there for his first flying lap. That's a very quick lap there from C. Faulkner, as we see Matty Pitt going up to 2/10 quicker there ahead of C. Faulkner. So very, very competitive times going in straight away here. Mango's gone into 3rd place there on a 30.5. Anything under a 29 is pretty quick around here, though. I've learned from personal experience. Scott's come over the line there, 128.9, so is also in that bracket, but a little way off of Matty Pitt, who seems to be setting a bit of a scorching pace in these early stages, it has to be said. I just got to apologise in advance for my hiccups aren't anything new, but the voice still isn't perfect. Last couple of days it's been awful. Today it's started to improve ever so slightly. It's kind of getting there, but I have had a tremendous some kind of cold. I don't think it's not really that bad, to be fair. It's not really that horrendous. It's not as bad as the one I had in late last year, to be honest. Not even close to as bad as that. This one's actually very mild, but it's did make it a bit of a challenge last night, and then tonight's a bit better than last night. Touch wood, it stays that way. But so far I feel a lot better tonight than I did last night. But nonetheless, enough about me. It's on to the drivers here. We've got G.C. gone into P5 on a 29.0. We've got Mango currently 6th on a 1:30.5. So pretty solid lap times there for Mango to be that far off the pace, obviously. On a 30.5, you know that the standard's pretty high from the guys that are up near the top of the leaderboard here. Street Boys currently in the pits. We've got Drauga coming towards the end of this flying lap. What's Drauga able to put on the board? Oh, I think that was a botched lap there from Drauga. Some considerable way off there with that one. Rexy Boys coming through the middle sector. Rexy Boys is often the driver who goes out at a different time from the rest of them. He is very, very common that Rexy Boy will do that. He'll sit in the pits a little bit longer and do his laps at different intervals from everybody else, as John's gone into 6th place instead of Mango there on a 30.3 for the time being. Drauga currently going through the first sector. Rexy Boy there just coming down to the end of that little straight. Oh, it's actually quite a long straight, to be fair, as here we come then. So Rexy Boy through the last part of the middle sector now into the final sector, which is just 2 corners. It's just 2 right hand braking zones, medium speed corners to finish the lap, and Rexy Boy now has got to go full commitment into this final corner. I think he might be down actually, so Rexy Boy's not going to be setting a competitive time here. I think he might have had a bit of a moment on this lap. Now does he go for another one, or does he box for some new tyres? Looks like he's going for another lap here, Rexy Boy, and he is currently the only driver out there on track doing a flying lap at this moment. So we're right on board with him for this second lap for Rexy Boy. His tyres will be feeling a little bit done in after that one lap that he's already done there. So he's not going to be in a prime position here to improve or to put his hat in the mix, but we'll see. Comes through turn 4. Looks like he a little bit wide of the apex, but carried plenty of speed through the corner. Obviously, if you miss the apex, you really do need to be carrying plenty of speed, otherwise you don't really benefit from it at all. But Rexy Boy here looks pretty good so far. We'll keep an eye on the top. Obviously the middle sector is one of the longest sectors on the F1 calendar here at Bahrain. Oh god. Starting to run again. The waterfall is back. Oh dear. Right. This is my punishment for my sins. Right. Rexy Boy here into the final, coming into the final part of the lap here. As Rexy Boy 7 seconds up on his personal best. Obviously his personal best was a 1:37, so if he finds a bit of time here in this final sector, he could potentially be in the 1:29s, maybe a bit further up. Drauga will be I imagine, his target to try and beat. Drauga currently on a 1:29.8. Here comes Rexy Boy then, out onto the start finish, straight towards the line now. What is it going to be for Rexy Boy? He goes into 6th place, 3/10 quicker than Drauga, and that's mission accomplished there, you have to say, for Rexy Boy so far. So decent lap there from him. Currently 6th fastest as things stand. We've got C-Mac coming towards the end of his lap as well now. Let's see what C-Mac's able to do at his first attempt of this Bahrain International Circuit. He goes into P4 there to C-Mac, 1:28.8, so it's pretty close here between the top drivers, only half a second separating the top 6. Matty Pitt, Justify, C. Faulkner, C-Mac, Scott and G.C. Obviously we're missing Clen tonight, so that's potentially a driver who could have been in the fight, or certainly would have been on the fight for pole if he was here, but he's not, unfortunately, here tonight, which is a bit of a shame. Got C-Mac here coming through the, obviously on his in lap at the moment. Matty Pitt, the provisional pole sitters out there trying to improve on his 28.5, which is at the moment the benchmark for all of them to try and aim for. I think I've seen 27s done on this game around this track once or twice, so I think it's definitely there. It's definitely possible. But for Rexy Boy here, he's approaching the final few corners of the lap. He's currently on an in lap. Obviously he's going to be coming into the pits for some fresh tyres pretty shortly. C-Mac also on an in lap. So Matty Pitt trying to extend his margin at the top of the leaderboard here as he comes down the long back straight. And he chuffed with C-Mac there, putting it in P4 for the time being. Obviously a long way to go, but he's not far off of the pole time here. If he can regroup and get some fresh tyres on and go again, he could be a real threat here to the provisional pole time. So Matty Pitt here coming down towards the final corner now. What is he able to do? Here he comes then. Full commitment into the final corner now. Gets onto the power nice and early. Let's see what he's able to do here. Oh, he's into the pits, so clearly not finding time there. Matty Pitt deciding to bail out on his lap. What about Scott? Scott's 2.5 tenths down in the first sector. So Scott is not finding time here on this lap. Seems like maybe the track is getting worse over this session rather than rubbering in and the track conditions improving. It seems like, well, a lot of drivers aren't improving, so very strange. But C. Faulkner starting his lap at the moment. Let's see what C14 is able to do here. Obviously filling in for somebody. I'm not quite sure who. Is it Glenn? Does Glenn drive the Williams this season? I can't remember. We're only 1 week into the season, guys. It's I'm still getting used to who's in what car. It could be Claire. I actually don't know. It's perfectly honest with you. But anyway, C40 coming towards the end of the first sector, to keeping on the top right hand corner. See if he's the anomaly here in terms of the track improvement, and he certainly is. He's found nearly 3/10 through the first sector at this point. At this rate, he'll be on pole position by quite a way here. So definitely is reaping the benefits of more rubber being laid down on this surface here. So maybe the others we're just feeling a little bit off colour there on these second runs of the session. C14 coming down the long back straight now. Just needs to, well, basically, if he can match his previous sector times in sector 2 and 3, then he will be on the cusp of taking pole position from Matty Pitt. Obviously, we'll be expecting him to not just match them, but to probably improve in these final 2 sectors. Here he comes. Oh, he's 2/10 up still coming through the middle sector. So as it stands, he needs to find a 10th through this final sector to put it on provisional pole here. Matty Pitt still sitting a pretty at the top of that leaderboard. Scott is on an in lap, so he won't be improving. He's currently P5 at the moment. Here comes C14 then towards the line. Is it going to be provisional pole position? It is going to be provisional pole position by 0.03 of a second. So that is incredibly close. But C14 has got and laid down a marker here. Draga's out there on a lap at the moment. So is Street Boy. And that is, well, that's a brilliant lap there from C. Faulkner, and currently sits at the top of the leaderboard here. There's Justify is about to start another flying lap here, obviously last week's pole sitter at China, and we'll be looking to try and follow that up with 2 poles from 2 races to kick off season 15. That would be a great start to the season here for Justify if he can do that. Here we come then down towards turn 1. Let's jump on board with the former runner-up in this purple sector Formula 1 league. From 2 seasons ago, season 13, he was the runner-up. Could have won the championship, took it to the final round of the season. Let's not forget. So let's keep an eye on the top right-hand corner here and see what his lap time's looking like. He's currently 0.06 of a second up through the first sector, which bodes well because that would put him on pole. Because he's only 0.05 off of pole. So if Justify can match his previous sector times in sector 2 and 3, he will be on P1 here as we approach the closing stages of the qualifying session. The question is though, after this lap, will he be able to get himself in and do another run, or is this going to be his final run of the session? He might just have time to get in, get back out and do another lap here, but it's going to be quite close. Justify here in towards the final sector now of this Bahrain International Circuit, as Draga's just been disqualified from qualifying, so it's going to be P9 at best here for Draga. So what a disappointment there for Draga here in this second round of the season. But Justify here down towards the final corner, and he looks to be on a pretty quick lap here. I've got to say, this seems to be a bit of a belter. It's going to be very, very close here to pole position. Justify over the line, and he gets it there by 0.03 of a second. It wasn't even close. Justify has gone and raised the bar, or lowered the bar, however you want to put it. He's gone and absolutely blitzed it there, and goes 0.3 ahead of C. Faulkner for the time being, as Rex Boy's just starting another flying lap here. Street Boy's also on a lap here as he's coming through the middle sector of the lap. Everybody else, it seems, is in the pits waiting to go for one more run at the end of the session. But Justify has gone and moved the goalposts a little bit here for these guys now. So Matty Pitt, who was on provisional pole for a lot of this session, is now on the back foot a little bit here as he starts his flying lap here. See a driver there getting one out of the way. I think that was Justify there. Could have been Justify. No, actually it wasn't, sorry. But must have been the other Aston there of Mango. But anyway, Matty Pitt here coming through towards the end of the first sector. Let's keep an eye on the top right hand corner here. Oh, he's close to his personal best in the first sector, but he's 11 thousandths off. So he still needs to find some time here in these final 2 sectors. Getting a decent exit there out of the right hander. As we come to this tricky downhill braking section, this is a maker or a breaker for your lap. It looked like he just went a little bit wide of the apex there, maybe slightly wider than he wanted to be. down the back straight, trying to get a bit of slipstream there from the car, which is on a cool down lap. Here we go then, Matty Pitt into this long left-hander. You want to get nice and early onto the throttle. Don't run too wide, because then you'll get onto the marbles and that will be lap ruin. But Matty Pitt here towards the final sector of the lap, still half a tenth down at this point. Place could be the summit of his ambitions here, realistic ambitions in these closing stages. He will not get another lap in after this, so unless of course he's got the tyres and the fuel to do another lap, but he won't be able to get back into the pits and get a fresh set of boots on. And Matty Pitt is bailing out of his lap here, so it is going to be P3 at best for the former champion here. Justify and C4 are both in the pits. Are they going to get themselves out on the track in time to do another run here? If not, then it's going to be as you are for the top four, and it could potentially change if the likes of C-Mac and Scott can do something about it here. Scott currently 6th in this qualifying session. Obviously last week he won from 6th on the grid, so he won't be too perturbed by that, I wouldn't have thought. Well, I'm sure he'd rather be starting on pole, but these two will be coming around to start flying laps very shortly. Let's jump on board with G.C. as he's 2 tenths up for the first sector here, so he's finding time here in the early stages of this lap. Oh, pardon me. Tell you what, I really do need to I think I really do need to pop to the doctors about this hiccuping. I mean, it is getting beyond a joke now. I'm pretty sure it has been getting progressively worse over the years. But anyway, G.C. here coming in towards the final few corners of this lap. He's currently in 7th place at the moment, obviously having found 2 tenths in the first sector. Let's keep an eye on the top right corner. Oh, he's lost time here through this middle sector. He's going to need a belter of a final sector to get himself in the top 5 here. I reckon he might have to settle for P7 here, G.C. as he comes into the final corner now. Oh, I tell you what, he had that on the edge there as he sent that one in. Here he comes then, G.C. to the line, and he stays 7th, doesn't improve there. So no change there for the Red Bull driver. So looking like C. Faulkner is the only one out of the top 4 to get around to do a final run here, and so this could be massively beneficial here for C. Faulkner. He's the only one who's in with a realistic prospect of pole, who's probably going to get a chance to try and get it here. We have got C-Mac as well out there, as well as Scott. Let's keep an eye on these guys actually, because they could be a potential threat here. So Scott's going to be the first over the line. C-Mac is about a corner behind. So as here comes Scott now through the final corner here at the Bahrain International Circuit. Towards the line he goes. 28.2 is the time to be. Oh, he's done it! Scott there, P1 by a tenth of a second. My goodness me, as C-Mac's into the pits. He has bailed out of his lap there. So Scott looks like he may have nicked it. But what has C. Faulkner got to offer here? He's 0.03 of a second up through the first sector. That's not going to be enough. He needs 4 tenths to trouble Scott at the top of that leaderboard. Scott obviously won the race last week from P6 at China, and potentially now could be starting this one from pole. A driver who always goes better in the races than he does in qualifying, but here tonight seems like he's got the qualifying form absolutely nailed down. C. Faulkner now could be the driver to deny Scott of a pole position. The championship leader currently sat at the top of the qualifying leaderboard here tonight, but C. Faulkner could be the one to deny him. Here he comes out the final corner then. C. Faulkner flat to the boards here as he comes up towards the line, and he misses out. P3 there for C. Faulkner. And it was a small improvement by less than a tenth, but it was not going to be enough to deny Scott of a pole position here tonight at Bahrain as Street Boy comes over the line. P8 for Street Boy, that's going to be that then. So it is going to be Scott lining up on pole position here for this one. Scott clutched up, yep, absolutely. Delivered when it mattered, didn't he? So brilliant stuff there from Scott, taking pole ahead of Justify and C. Faulkner. The fastest 3 in qualifying here for the second round here at Pebble Sector tonight. Oh god, right, I need a piss. Oh.
Here we go then, the formation lap gets underway and the excitement here is building as we near ever closer to the start of the race. Which team will come out on top? Who's got their strategies right for today's race? Well, we'll soon find out.
And he reckons Scott first, Justify second, and Matty Pitt third for tonight's one. Interesting prediction. I mean, yeah, Fortin is a quick qualifier. Always has been a quick qualifier. I mean, if he does have any weaknesses, it would be consistency, but I don't know. I'm talking to myself. No, I mean, I'm reading your messages. Let me just double check my audio. There we go. So here we go then. Lining up on the grid, getting ready to go racing here for the Bahrain Grand Prix at the Purple Sector Formula 1 League. Lights are on at the head of the grid. It's lights out and we're underway as we head down towards turn one, and Justify's got the jump here on Scott on the inside, but look at C Fortin down the inside there, and C Fortin has made the move on Justify up into second place. Scott in the end managed to hold on to P1 there as Justify had an awkward line there going through turn one, but it's Scott from C Fortin with Justify there in third place. Then you got Matty Pitt, as we can see. We got G.C. dying up the inside there of Rexy Boy, but Rexy Boy hanging it around the outside for the time being, holding on to fifth place there in that one. But looking like a very clean first lap here from everybody is White Shadow and G.C. now side by side. White Shadow on the inside there. I think it's made that move potentially up into P6, so that is job done. Yeah, it is. So G.C. losing another place there on its opening lap. Not a great first lap here from G.C. it has to be said. But as they come down the long back straight here for the first time at racing speeds, and it's currently Scott who has the advantage as we see Justify having a look to the inside there. C Faulkner, but just too far away there as they go into the corner. But for C Faulkner, I'm sure he'll be delighted to have got up into second place here on this opening lap, obviously starting just behind Justify. Justify, one of the I think, well, Justify and C Faulkner, to be fair, both qualifying specialists, but in the races, Justify is also pretty consistent as well. We've seen on multiple occasions has had nights where he's been practically unbeatable, to be fair, but unfortunately they're not all the time, as we see Matty Pitt here making a move to the inside now on Justify, and is up into third place there into turn one, although Justify's going to try and hold it around the outside as these two are still side by side. Matty Pitt does manage to get that one done there as we go through that sequence of corners. So Matty up into P3 with a nice move there into that corner. Scott still leading the race. C Fortin and Matty, Justify and Rexy were the top five, as White Shadow having a bit of a slide there and gets out of shape and loses out there to G.C. as a result, and potentially now C-Mac might look to try and knock him while he's down here. White Shadow holds onto that one. Always gone wide onto the runoff area though. And C-Mac here is going to swoop around very easily. Has he got damage up? I think he might well have damage here, White Shadow. I think there's something wrong with the car potentially, because he seems to be really struggling at this point. He's got himself a 3-second penalty there for track limits, just to rub it in a little bit there. The game's saying, no, you haven't suffered enough here, mate. We're just going to make it that little bit worse for you than it already is. And he seems like he's really struggling at this point. There's Mango they're running in P11 ahead of John, completing classification at the moment. But currently Scott out the front here with a commanding lead right now over C Fortner of just over a second, and seems to be settling into a pretty solid rhythm at this moment in time. There's Matty and Justify there in third and fourth places. A bit of a gap back to Rexy Boy, who's running in fifth place with G.C. and C-Mac in tow. And then you got Street Boy, Drauga, as White Shadow there running in the final points paying position with Mango and John there completing the classification. But Scott out the front, loving life here. C Fortner is struggling to keep tabs on him at this point. Matty Pitt and Justify in a bit of a train of cars here, battling over second place, but none of them are on the level of the race leader at the moment. He is absolutely riding off into the sunset here so far. As we see G.C. keeping it around the outside of Rexy Boy there, and back up into fifth place here. So G.C. gained a couple of places back after a scrappy opening lap there for him. He's now starting to recover a little bit here, as we've got C-Mac here looking to the outside. Is he going to try and go for a cut back here? Doesn't look like he's able to just at the moment. So C-Mac still has to sit behind the Ferrari for the time being as his teammate disappears off into the distance just up ahead of them. So here they are then coming down towards the final corner once again here. End of lap 3 of the race. Scott's still out the front. C. Faulkner has got heavy pressure here from Matty and Justify at the moment. So these guys looking to try and force the initiative on the back of the Williams driver. C. Faulkner moving to the inside, trying to break the toe here on Matty Pitt. Matty Pitt with DRS, but no real major closing speed at this point. Really cleaning under braking though. I tell you what, seems to have a lot more confidence on the brakes for whatever reason. Justify having a little look to the inside there into turn 4, but just not quite close enough to really bother Matty Pitt at this stage anyway. So these three not quite on the pace of Scott at this point, but they certainly got the pace over the rest of them. Seems like Scott in a bit of a league of his own here tonight, and then these guys would normally be, I think, in the top bracket, but Scott has just gone that extra mile here tonight. G.C. trying to pull away here from C-Mac and Rexy Boy, but just every time I think they get to the DRS zone, they're just clinging to the back of him here. He's unable to really stretch his legs in that P5 spot here. So only one driver sporting a penalty so far. White Shadow Hull, obviously we were watching on as he did that on the opening lap, was it, or the second lap it might have been. But nonetheless, Matty Pitt has got well, he's got a bit of a toe here. He's got some slipstream and DRS down towards turn 1. Is he going to have a chance here into turn 1? He's going to look to the outside. We know that Massa Merck is good on the brakes. We saw it on the last lap. He's going to look to try and go on the outside. No, ducks back inside. Going for a cutback here on C4, and he's going to have a great chance to make the move here. He's going to get that second dose of DRS. Matty Pitt is surely going to make the move for second place here. Looks to the inside down towards turn 4 as C4 sees him coming. Matty Pitt there making the move. Absolute peach removed there up into second place. That was an easy job done there from Matty Pitt in the end. No dramas. C. Faulkner saw that and thought not really worth going hammer and tongs for that one at this point, as Justify they're now looking to make a move down the inside as well here on C. Faulkner, as C. Faulkner trying to avoid losing 2 places in 1 lap. He's on the inside here down this tricky downhill braking zone and covers that one off for the time being. Can Justify go for a cutback with DRS down this long back straight? Surely he's going to have a chance, but C. Faulkner's got good enough traction there out of the corner and is comfortably ahead into the left-handers. So for the time being, C. Faulkner survives with that one. But he's going to be, I think, a little bit frustrated with losing that position to Matty and needs to get his head together, just focus and go again here. Because still a long way to go and he's still in a podium position, still probably in with a chance of a second place here tonight. But Matty is surely going to be fancying a possibility of winning the race here tonight. Now he's in clean air. He'll look to try and chase down his former teammate Scott. Let's see what he's able to do here. Justify in the meantime now. Makes the move with DRS up the inside here of C. Faulkner, and that's going to be job done there for him. So Justify into third place, as in the background there G.C. coming under a bit of pressure here from C-Mac. But interestingly, G.C. C-Mac and Rexy Boy have actually closed in a little bit on the battle between Matty and Justify and C. Faulkner over the last few laps, just whilst I think those guys have been focusing on each other, and these three have clearly been working together to some extent. Ernie says C. Faulkner's got no DRS, has he not? Oh, what, did he fall out the DRS to Matty? Oh, I see what you mean, yeah. Made him extra vulnerable when trying to defend from Justify, and in the end was resultantly unable to do so. But to be fair, they're all within DRS to each other. Actually, no, Justify might have dropped out of DRS to Matty here. I think he might well have done, actually. Yeah, he didn't get DRS just there, so he's dropped away a little bit. here on the Mercedes. Voice is getting a bit better. It's better than it was last night. Enough said. So C-Mac here on the back of G.C. About 0.7 of a second between them at the moment. He's going to have a chance down the start finish straight to get that a little bit closer here, potentially. As here he goes then, C-Mac here with a great toe and some closing speed. He's going to potentially look to the inside, just a bit too far back I think. It's not going to happen just at the moment. Street ball into the pits here at the end of lap 6. As there is the race leader 4 seconds clear at the moment. Scott having an absolute field day out there and looking like it could be 2 from 2 here tonight after taking a win last week at China. So we see C-Mac here still defending from Rexy Boy in that fight for 6th place. I'll tell you what, G.C.'s just extended the gap a little bit to these guys over the last lap or so. I think if it wasn't for the fact that DRS was there, I think he might have maybe pulled away from them, but such is the case with DRS. It can, the only negative is that it can keep drivers who maybe shouldn't be battling with you. It can help them to keep up, and it's good for aiding overtaking if you're quicker. But obviously we've seen a few instances, I think around this track especially, is that you can keep up with drivers with DRS that you probably wouldn't or shouldn't be able to on pure merit. But nonetheless, Rexy Boy here, and that's probably why they've scrapped it and replaced it with active aero. But nonetheless, Rexy Boy here on the back of C-Mac as they're coming out the final corner, and C-Mac's still able to get that DRS on G.C. as we see now C-Mac into the pits, obviously starting on the soft tyres, so it was clearly going to be the first one to come into the pits out of everybody. There's a few drivers who started on the hards. Rexy Boy, actually no, Rexy Boy's the only one that started on the hards. Everybody else that's on the hards has come in and got them on since the start of the race. Matty Pitt here trying to challenge on the back of Justify at the moment in this fight for 2nd place. So Justify's got ahead of Matty Pitt. So Matty's going to try and take this one back here as they're coming through this middle sector of the lap here. On lap 8 of this 29 lap race here for the Bahrain Grand Prix at the Purple Sector Formula 1 League. Matty's going to have DRS here down this straight, which will get him a little bit closer. I wouldn't have thought he'd be close enough to make a move from here, but he's going to just bring him into play a little bit more as the gap under 0.3 of a second as they hit the braking zone. So as long as he can keep himself close here through these next few corners, he should have a very strong chance to try and make the move into turn 1 down the start finish straight. If he can get a good exit out of this next right-hander, then Matty Pitt will be in a prime position to do exactly that. He's got brilliant straight line speed as well, so all he needs is to be within about half a second here as they come out of the corner. And let's see, yep, I reckon he might have a good chance here. Oh no, he's into the pits. So Matty Pitt coming in at the end of lap 8. That's interesting. So he'll be getting, I imagine, the hard tyres on, or maybe another stint on the mediums, because I wouldn't have thought you'd be one stopping from there. I think you'd need at least a 2 stop from this distance. Matty Pitt putting a fresh set of mediums on, so that confirms the 2 stop there for Matty Pitt, which was already pretty obvious. So Scott now left with a 5-second gap over Justify. Justify has got 2 seconds back to C. Faulkner, who was looking like he could be in the fight for the podiums earlier on, but at this point seems to just be dropping off ever so slightly. Ernie's predictions currently looking very good, I have to say, of Scott, Justify and Matty, the top 3. I'd have to say it's looking like you might be spot on here, mate. Oh dear. Rexy is a tyre saving wizard. Wouldn't be surprised at him doing a 1 stop, says Ernie. Yeah, it's not beyond the realms of possibility, I have to say. I mean, he's starting on the hard tyres and he's starting to gain a little bit on the leaders now. About 10 seconds off the lead at this point. We've got Rogue Giffelin here saying there's only one Leslie. Well, he's currently flying at the moment. He is, Rowe, have to say. And he's into the pits now to make his first stop. So getting the medium tyres on by the looks of it. No, sorry, hard tyres, sorry, should I say. I was looking at the top, C. Faulkner. But C. Faulkner now assumes the race lead because obviously Scott and Justify coming in on the same lap. But the one and only Leslie is coming out onto the track once again. So Scott here with some fresh hard tyres. Still ahead of Matty. He's managed to hold track position despite Matty going for a one-lap undercut. So still 2 seconds between those two at the moment. Justify's come out behind Matty, so Matty's jumped Justify in the pits, but Scott getting a very seamless pit stop there, and that's worked out absolutely brilliantly there for him. As we've got Badman in the comments as well. Hello Badman, good to see you, mate. Obviously Badman, the former champion here. Actually the current, oh my goodness, Steve Faulkner there, getting well out of shape on those medium tyres, which are clearly now starting to feel the pace, and that is going to cost him, I think, any chance that he had already of getting a podium here tonight. A long way to go, but he's lost himself a good, I'd say, 3 seconds with that spin. He did really well to keep that out of the wall, but that could have been an absolute disaster there for C. Faulkner, and I think maybe now he's going to have to put in a hell of a shift to get on the podium here tonight. I was just saying hello to Badman, and Badman is obviously the reigning champion of the Purple Sector Formula 1 League, but elected to not defend his crown, but he races with us. Obviously we cover him racing on Sundays in the Premier Formula Racing League. He also races a reserve in Red Arrows as well, so I still get to commentate on him a lot, and good to see you in the comments there, mate. But C. Faulkner is staying out on track, which is mind-boggling considering that he just almost had a spin coming out of that downhill left-handed braking zone. So I mean, that's bizarre, but he's trying to stay out. I think he's trying to one-stop it. Clearly he feels that he's got enough tyres to get around another lap around this Bahrain International Circuit, which is a quite an audacious move, I have to say, but he has the confidence, clearly. Rexy Boy's closing in on him on the hard tyres. No surprise that that's the case. Rexy Boy will be picking up pretty shortly, I would have thought, at this rate. But if C. Faulkner comes in at the end of this lap, he'll probably maintain position over Rexy Boy. But wow, that was a close call there for C. Faulkner, has to be said. Love the comments, bro. Thank you very much, mate. Thank you very much. That's very kind. I need to be doing, to be fair, actually I was about to say I need to be doing more of it, but to be honest, I don't know if it's a good idea, because Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, you know, I've missed quite a few recently. I think that if I'm just doing it 3 days a week, I should be able to consistently make all 3 every week. So actually it's probably best if I keep it at that. I think it's probably the sweet spot. 3 days a week is probably the sweet spot, especially 3 days in a row. So, you know, it kind of keeps me busy. You know, keeps me kind of, I guess, it's just something good to like do, isn't it? Rather than, you know, I don't know. Anyway, better not say. Anyway, C. Faulkner coming into the pits. So C. Faulkner's coming in to make his pit stop, obviously. Starting on the medium tyres. Now he could be able to put on the hards on and go to the end of the race. So that should be good for him, obviously. So that now releases Rexy Boy into the lead of the race for the time being. Sleep the other forces early. Oh, I've got to work, unfortunately. I know. I mean, what even is that? I mean, it's just some weird concept, isn't it? But yeah, I have to. Oh, I wish I didn't have to. Anyway, but Rexy Boy now leading the race, obviously having started on the hard tyres. I imagine he'll be trying to go a few more laps here, because if he's going to one-stop it, he'd want to get to at least lap 18, I reckon, to safely get those medium tyres to the end of the race. But if he can do that, then that'd be very, very beneficial for him. But obviously, if he goes to that distance, he probably will get caught and passed by at least Scott and Matty. Potentially Justify, though Justify is a bit further back there in P4. But Rex Boy continuing on his way for the time being here at the end of lap 12. of this Bahrain Grand Prix here for the Pebble Sector Formula 1 League, as we've got Scott in the background there coming to the line in P2. Just under 2 seconds is gap to Matty at this point. There's Justify, who's not too far behind there in 4th place. C Faulkner after staying out a bit longer. Presumably going to be one stopping. He's going to be one to watch, I tell you that. He's got fresher tyres at the moment than the guys up ahead, so should be able to lap a bit quicker. He'll obviously be the race leader once they come in. But then C Faulkner is going to be the one who's being hunted down by the others, so he'll inherit the lead inevitably when the others come in for their second stops. Then he'll be looking over his shoulder in those last few laps to try and hold the lead, and whether or not it's going to work for him, we'll have to see. But I reckon, I mean, he could be in a fight for a podium here if he's got his defensive mind about him tonight. He could be in with a shout of a podium, C Faulkner. It's not out of the question. No penalties as of yet, so he'll certainly be able to fight for it without having to worry about any of that. Justify there with a 3-second time penalty, which is not ideal. He is in the fight for a podium. That could also give C Faulkner a bit of impetus here to potentially get himself in a top 3 here tonight. But for Rexy Boy, still the race leader, having started on these hard tyres. He's coming around the final corner here, and he's going to stay out. I think he's going to stay probably till at least lap 17, maybe lap 18 is my prediction. Unless he fully cracks under the pressure of trying to carry these tyres a long way into the race and just decides to two-stop it. But I can't really see that happening, not at this point. I think if that were to happen, it probably would have happened a few laps ago. I think he's pretty committed now to the plan of doing a one-stopper. But the result of such a strategy is that he has got the net leader all over the back of him. Scott here ranging up onto the back of the Ferrari. Started on pole tonight, did Scott. Obviously won the opening round of the season last week, and as it stands, looking on course to make it 2 from 2 here this week. Obviously a long way to go. We're not even halfway through this race yet, we've got to remember, but the way things have gone so far for Scott, you wouldn't bet against him, would you? See Drauger here coming out of the pits, having put some fresh tyres on. He's just been passed there by John and White Shadow. Oh, it's John there a bit wide. White Shadow could fancy a move here, although John actually managed to keep some momentum there somehow. I'm not quite sure how, but he didn't lose much momentum at all there. And White Shadow, oh my goodness me, he absolutely lunges one up the inside of turn 4, and White Shadow's pulled it off. Absolutely incredible move there from White Shadow. I was not expecting that in a million years. He has gone for a complete and utter, I mean, that was Daniel Ricciardo-esque move. Very fitting that he was driving the V-Carb as well, the car that obviously Ricciardo finished his career in. But White Shadow there, wow, I tell you what, that was bonkers. So White Shadow there up into 9th place with that one, sorry, 10th place with that one, as John drops down to P11 there with that one. Fair play by John for leaving room. Yeah, I got to say, you're right, he saw him coming as well. John there losing out to Jaguar obviously a moment ago as well, so Jaguar up into P. Oh my goodness me, as White Shadow has kind of stacked it there on the exit of the corner at the end of the long back straight, and has dropped down to P12. He's dropped behind both of them there, Jaguar and John. So he's kind of ruined it there, unfortunately. So yeah, anyway, right, where were we? Scott has pulled out a 1 second gap here to Rexy Boy. Rexy Boy obviously on those hard tyres which he started the race on. Now I reckon he'll go to at least lap 17. That could be a possibility to get to lap 17. 12 laps on the mediums is possible. They will be very, very shot to pieces by the end, but they would probably get to the end 12 laps without bursting. But I'd say 11 laps would probably be the safe point. That'll be the safe swap time for Rexy Boy. And I reckon before we get there, he's going to be passed by at least Matty Pitt, possibly Justify, running in 4th place at the moment as well. One to watch out for is going to be C Faulkner here, because C Faulkner is he's about 15 seconds off the lead at the moment. So he's going to have a good chance sort of later on in the race, as Rexy Boy into the pits at the end of lap 15. Into the box he goes. But yeah, for C Faulkner, obviously He's within pit stop range of the leaders. So it's going to be important here. So Rexy Boy coming in at this early stage. He's coming in on at the end of lap 15. He's going to try and get 14 laps out of these medium tyres. I don't know if that's going to be possible here for Rexy Boy. He might have to do a 2-stop here, you know. That would be a heck of a feat. If he were to get these to the end, that would be absolutely insane. If he does, then fair play, but I don't think he's going to. In the meantime, we've got Justify on the back of Matty Pitt, obviously. Justify on the hard tyres, Matty on the mediums. They came in at a similar time, but after about 6 or 7 laps on a set of tyres, it tends to be the hard tyres that fare the better between the hards and the mediums. The first sort of 4 or 5 laps, the mediums will be quicker, and then once you get to this sort of point in the stint, you get a bit of a crossover in terms of tyre performance. So at this point, Justify will be reaping the benefits of having done that tougher part of the stint on the slower tyre, and is now going to be knocking on the door of a potential P2 here on the back of Matty Pitt. Matty Pitt will be aware of the Aston getting larger and larger in his rearview mirrors, and will be extra conscious of it, I'm sure. Here he comes then. Justify with DRS slipstream easily breezes past Matty Pitt like he is not even there, and Justify into second place on his hard tyres. So now he needs to try and pull away through these next 3 corners, really, within striking distance of Matty Pitt. And it looks like he's pulled enough of a gap, and he should be alright. So Matty Justify far enough ahead now. He needs to just ace the first sector and try and build a bit of a gap here. So Justify within 5 seconds of Scott at this moment in time. Obviously Scott has had the lead since the start. He's been controlling it ever since we got going, really. Justify with a 3-second penalty, but his tyres seem to be working well at this point in the stint. He's going to have a choice of whether he wants to run the mediums or the hards for the final stint, because he has already run both different compounds, so he's got all the data. He's obviously run both tyres. He'll know which one he prefers, which one is more likely to excel over the length of stint that he's planning on embarking on this final stint. So yeah, the ball's in his court, really. He seems to be very much okay, because it keeps on disconnecting. I think we're okay now. And Matty Pitt into the pits here at the end of lap 17. He's getting those medium tyres off. Does he put the hards on? I reckon we're going to see a set of hard tyres going onto Matty Pitt's car. Don't know why, just an inkling. As there we go. Matty off and away. And he's got the more durable white wall compound on the car, as we see C-Mac also pulling into the pits as well here at the end of lap 17. And off and away he goes. So Scott's still leading the race, looking like he's very much got this one under control. He's capped 5 seconds over Justify at this point, and just seems like he's got control of this one. He obviously had pole in the first stint when they were all in the same boat, same tyres, same age tyres. He was pulling away. I think whatever anyone has to throw at him, I think he's probably got the answer here tonight. The one thing I'd say he doesn't have control over at this point, and it could be pivotal, would be the fact that C. Faulkner doesn't have to pit again, because C. Faulkner could probably get these hard tyres to go to the end. Just about, I'd say. It'd be close, but he could probably one-stop this, and he's within 15 seconds of him, with slightly fresher tyres than what Scott's got. So he might be bringing that gap down at this point, ever so slightly, or at least staying around the same. But Scott will come out over 5 seconds behind C. Faulkner when Scott comes in for his final stop, and C. Faulkner could potentially be the barrier. You know, if whatever Scott might have, you know, he might have a quick car through the corners, but if he can't pass C. Faulkner down the straights, that could be really problematic here for him. So whether or not C. Faulkner will be able to capitalise on that, obviously with track position, it will fall for him a little bit here. So we'll have to see how it goes. At this point, though, the pace is very similar here between Scott and C. Faulkner. It's about 15.5 seconds between them. It's stayed around the same over the last few laps. So it's looking like C. Faulkner's going to have a bit of a gap to Scott initially when Scott comes in for his final stop. but that gap will come down quickly. It's a case of whether or not Scott can make that move on the track as well, and that's going to be very important to the destiny of this race, as we see Matty there doing the fast lap of the race there from P7 on his fresh hard tyres. He's come out clear of C-Mac, who's in 8th, but it seems like Matty's the furthest up of those who have made their final stop, barring obviously Rexy Boy, who we don't know what Rexy Boy's doing, but his medium tyres are going to be shredded by the time we get to the end of the race. There's no doubt about it. He's 5 seconds clear of Matty, but his tyres are going to be completely and utterly, they're going to be knackered by the end of the race. Medium tyres are not supposed to go 14 laps, especially around this track, so we'll have to see, but I can't see that one working too well personally. But I've been proven wrong before, I'll be proven wrong again, and I could be proven wrong very shortly, but we'll see whether it happens now or whether it happens next week. We'll have to see. So Badman saying it's going to be tight for Rexy Boy. It definitely is going to be tight for Rexy Boy. Oh, he's making a move here on G.C. up into 4th place, so that's a nice move there from Rexy Boy. He's a wizard, Harry. I'm what? But Rexy Boy, they're getting up into 4th place, into some clean air once again. But we've got Matty here on the back of Street Boy, looking to the inside into turn 4. Is he going to make that move? We're at Street Boy, they're going a little bit wide. Matty on his fresh tyres. It wasn't really a contest, was it? I was getting all excited for nothing. He's on 11 lap pressure tyres, and that was a very, well, not even routine. It was like different categories, wasn't it, really? So Matty, the highest runner of those who we think are going to comfortably get to the end. Rexy Boy is going to have to nurse those mediums if he wants to get to the end. C. Faulkner, as it stands, will inherit the race lead when Scott and Justify come in and make their final stops. That's if they come in, though. I mean, I wonder if they're going to try and go to the end. I wouldn't have thought they will. I think they're too far out to make that work, personally. Because, I mean, they came in on lap 9. C. Faulkner came in on lap 11. They have to do 20 laps. I feel their tyres will probably burst on the last lap, maybe the penultimate lap, and that would give C. Faulkner the win, because as far as I'm aware, I think tyres go about, around this track, they can go comfortably about 18 or 19 laps, is that right? But 20 is maybe the limit. I don't know, guys in chat, Badman Ernie, or anybody who might know the answer to this, whether or not 20 laps is a viable target around this track, because something tells me that around 18 or 19 laps is about the limit, and in which case C. Faulkner would be in a good position, but these two might be running into a bit of trouble in the last couple of laps. That's just my hunch, but it looks like they are committed now to going to the end, because otherwise the pit stop's going to be costing them a bit too much here. See John into the pits at the end of lap 20, so he's putting a new set of soft tyres on. I don't know if they'll get to the end, to be fair. They've got quite a way to go. Badman reckons that the tyres might be bursting on the final lap here for Scott and Justify. And he says top 2 are going to be tight if they make it, but yeah, they've got to commit to it. Yeah, I agree. And it looks like they both are. So they are both sticking with it here. And C. Faulkner only needs to get within 6 seconds of Justify to actually take P2, saying that his tyres are only 2 lap pressure. So he's not going to be gaining massive amounts of time on the top 2, is C. Faulkner. The thing is, his tyres aren't going to be in much better shape, but in terms of the life expectancy of these tyres, Scott's and Justifiers are probably on the borderline of whether we expect them to make it to the end, whereas with C. Faulkner, his tyres should make it. There's not really a precedent for C. Faulkner's tyres to burst before we get to the end of the race based on how many laps he's done. So really it's a question of, are Scott and Justify's tyres going to hold up until the flag? If they don't, C Faulkner will be there to pick up the pieces. Scott Rexy Boy also running in P4. He's about 6 seconds behind C Faulkner, but his tyres are going to be in a similar position to Scott and Justified's by the end of the race as well. as well. Pardon me. Oh God. So it's going to be fascinating. It's going to be absolutely fascinating to see how it all pans out, and whether or not the top two, or one of them, or none of them, can get to the end on these tyres remains to be seen. But it is going to be a fascinating finish. Oh, Scott's into the pits. Wow, okay. Scott into the pits for a set of, well, is it going to be soft tyres? It's got to be a set of soft, surely. He's come this far. It is... yeah. It's the Red Bull soft tyres. He's gone for the fastest, the least durable tyre here for the final 7 laps of the race. Scott is going to come out. Is he going to come out ahead of Rexy Boy? It's going to be close. He's going to come out just behind Rexy Boy here. So Rexy Boy there into 3rd place. Scott will want to dispatch Rexy Boy as quickly as he possibly can to avoid losing too much time, because he's got to chase after C Faulkner running in 2nd place. Now, just Justify stay out. Justify will be seeing, obviously, that Scott came in, maybe thinking to himself, should I do the same? Does that tell me something? I don't know. C Faulkner also with a penalty. Rexy Boy could be within striking distance of C Faulkner if he's only got... depends how many penalties he's got. But for Scott hasn't got any penalties. And that's going to be pivotal in his closing laps, because he won't need to overtake the likes of C Faulkner and Justify. All you need to do is be within 3 seconds of him, so that kind of takes a bit of pressure off. He has also managed to pick off Rexy Boy already here as Scott, so he's already into clean air. Now he can chase after the top 2 without any further added stress. But it's also the question of, are his tyres going to burn out before we get to the end? Because the soft tyres, I mean, their lifespan is, it's like a butterfly, you know. So it could be a case that Scott ends up burning out his tyres before we even get to the end, in which case he won't be able to really mount a challenge on the top 2. So all these questions that we've got, and they're going to be answered over the course of the next 6 laps. Ernie says Scott could win on penalties. Can you show the penalty? Brilliant. Well, great minds think alike. I hadn't even read your comment, but we were both thinking along the same lines there, Ernie. That was a bit of a delay. I think it's a noob tonight. Oh dear. It's definitely a new person, isn't it? Oh dear. Right. Right. Okay, I can hear responding voices, so I think we're okay. Right, anyway. Oh, my nan's carers came in, and I think it's a new person, because usually they ring the doorbell, they open the door straight away. Tonight there's about a 10-second delay between the doorbell ringing and them actually coming in, so I'm pretty sure it's a new person tonight. And I didn't want to be yapping away in case they thought that I was the room that they were looking for, so anyway. Anyway, right. So we've got Justify out in front with a 10-second gap over C Faulkner at the moment. We've got Scott currently on the back of C Faulkner in the fight for 2nd place. C Faulkner wrapping a 3-second penalty at this moment in time. Scott is going to make the move to the inside on his fresh soft tyres, and it's going to make that one stick beautifully there to Scott. So C Faulkner dropped to be fair, he's quite a way off of Justify now, but Scott there making that move. Routine stuff there from him. Next up will be Justify. but he's got to make up 7 seconds here. He needs to get within 3 seconds of Justify to win the race. Obviously with 4 laps left in the race, it's going to be pretty close here. But I reckon Justify might be okay here, as long as his tyres don't blow up. If his tyres blow up, it's game over. But also, I mean, interestingly though, Scott's tyres are going to burn out very quickly, and C Faulkner might, if he can stay within DRS, might fancy coming back at him in the last couple of laps of the race if he can keep himself close. But at the moment, Justify with quite a big lead out the front of 9 seconds. It's coming down all the time with Scott's faster tyres, so I have to keep a close eye on this. The gap was about 9 seconds over the line. So we see Matty Pitt there moving ahead of Rexy Boy up into 4th place. We see G.C. they're getting ahead of Draga up into 8th place as well. So that's job done there for him. There's Scott coming to the end of the long back straight here. 8 seconds behind Justify at the moment. I tell you what, I don't think he's gaining enough here. I think Justify, as long as his tyres don't blow up, he should be alright. But that's a big if, because Justify now is going to be on a nice edge. I mean, these tyres have got to do 20 laps by the time we get to the end of the race. It is a grey area for these hard tyres. They go, I'd say the safe distance is 18 laps. 19 is a bit hit. It's a bit hit and miss, and then 20 is a real risk. So it's going to be close here for Justify as he comes into turn 1. Once again, the gap 7.5 seconds here to Scott at this point, and it's coming down all the time. About 1.5 seconds a lap, it's coming down, which is not enough. To be fair, it's not enough. Well, it might be actually. It's going to be very close. It's going to be really, really close. That's all I can tell you. It's going to be really, really close. So Scott just needs to be within 3 seconds to Justify by the time we get to the end of this race. And if he is, then he will be a 2-time race winner from 2 races so far this season. So we've got Badman saying Scott incoming, 2 seconds per lap, says Ernie. I thought I had it at 1.5 seconds, but you might be right. But basically, if he can be under 6 seconds at the end of this lap, then he's on course to get him, regardless of, like, you know, the delta that we're seeing per lap. If he can be within 6 seconds at the end of this lap. But then again, also the soft tyres are going to be wearing out much quicker than what Justifies are. So that delta that he's got per lap is going to be getting less every time as well. That's also an important thing to factor in. The amount he's gaining each lap is going to be getting less and less. But nonetheless, 5.7 the gap with 2 laps left. Justify's tyres are close to going pop. Scott's soft tyres could go off the cliff any moment as well. Pretty sure Justify's tyres have already gone off the cliff, but he's pretty committed to this one now. C Faulkner there running in 3rd place. Imagine if both of the guys up ahead of him get tyre blowouts, because Scott's soft tyres, they're not really supposed to go 7 laps. They're going to be close to going off. Justify has done 19 laps so far. He's got to do 20 laps to get to the flag. He is very, very close to getting this to the end, but it's going to be a touch and go, shall we say. Scott has now got the gap at just about under 5 seconds, or he will do in a moment. So here we go then. Scott now under 5 seconds, the gap to the leader. Whew, this is going to be tight. This is going to be absolutely nip and tuck here between these two. Who is going to win this Bahrain Grand Prix? Justify's tyres are going to be close to going kaput here. Scott on his soft tyres, which he put on now 6 laps ago. They're not going to be in pristine condition, that's for sure. But what's going to happen here? Because Scott only needs to be within 3 seconds of Justify to take the race win. C. Faulkner looks like he's going to hold on for a podium here ahead of Matty Pitt due to his very innovative one-stop strategy here. And I'm sure that he'll be delighted with that, and it'd be a fully deserved podium finish as well for him if he can hold on to that one, and it looks like he's going to, barring any major catastrophes. But for Justify here, this is his 20th lap on these tyres. I mean, it's absolutely bonkers that he's got to this point on these tyres. Now he just needs to, I think, just needs to risk it. Just needs to take everything that he's got left in them out of them. If they burst at this point, he's going to lose the win. But at this point, he's come this far. I think he's surely got to go all in or all out. At this point, it's got to be all or nothing. Gap down to 3.6 down the long back straight. Scott can taste the race win. He just needs to find half a second through this final sector here, and he'll be the race winner. Those soft tyres are going to be wobbling a little bit at this point as well, though. Here comes Justify then, with just 2 corners left in this Bahrain Grand Prix at this Bahrain International Circuit. Here we come then. Scott's got to find about 3/10 through this final corner. It's going to be absolutely incredibly close here. Justify comes to the final corner. 20 laps on one set of hard tyres. Here he comes then towards the line. Who is it going to be to win the race for round 2 of the season here at Purple Sector? Justify crosses the line. Scott does it. Scott gets there by the skin of his teeth and does it by a 1/10 of a second. He managed to stay within that 3 seconds, and showing that decision to put those soft tyres on at the end was probably the right one. C. Faulkner comes over to complete the podium ahead of Matty, who finishes in 4th place. Rexy Boy over to take P5. Big shout out to C. Faulkner actually getting a 3rd place as a reserve tonight, a late standing, and did a brilliant job there. As we've got C-Mac here coming out the final corner. It's going to be 6th place here for C-Mac. Not too far ahead here of Street Boy, who's going to come around to take 7th place here in the end. And then not too far behind Street Boy, we've got G.C. ahead of Drauga. As there they come across the line. So that's the that's 8th and 9th, and then a little way back to Mango, who's just coming through the final few corners here. Mango just coming down towards the final corner, this little straight. We've got White Shadow there. Sorry, John actually still going as well in P11. White Shadow's finished the race a lap down in 12th after a promising earlier part of the race, but Mango here comes around in P10. John's going to come down towards the final corner to be the last driver to finish there in 11th place. Badman there congratulating Scott on a great win. Ernie says nice job C-Mac. C-Mac coming in P6 in the end. What a comeback, says Ernie. I'm hype over that one. That finished nice one, Scott, says Ernie, as we see John crossing the line to finish the race. And that is that then for tonight here at the Purple Sector Formula 1 League. Thanks to the drivers for putting on a great show as always. Thanks to Matty and T for letting me commentate. And yeah, great night of action there that was. And that was dramatic from start to finish there, and it was very unpredictable. Kept us all guessing, kept us on our toes, and that's what you want. But thanks to all the Purple Sector drivers here for tonight, and we'll see you all for the next one next Tuesday. So yeah, take it easy and good night.